Sometimes life doesn't knock loudly. It whispers. It shows up in quiet dinners, in empty chairs, in the way laughter fades a little too quickly, and one day you realize something powerful, something simple, something terrifyingly beautiful. Love was never meant to be lived alone, because family isn't just blood, it's warmth, it's safety, it's the place where your name sounds like home. And today, I'm not here to give a speech. I'm here to speak from the heart, because this isn't just about me. This isn't just about you. This is about us. And the truth is, my family needs you. I never thought a single sentence could feel this heavy. Not heavy in a painful way, but heavy in the way a heartbeat feels when you finally pay attention to it. The kind of weight that reminds you you're alive, the kind that makes silence feel louder than words. There are moments in life when everything slows down. Not the world. The world keeps rushing, people keep moving, cars keep passing, clocks keep ticking. But inside you, something pauses. Something asks you to listen, really listen. And in that quiet space, you begin to understand things you never noticed before. I started noticing the small things first, the way the house sounds in the morning before anyone speaks. The soft clatter of cups in the kitchen, the hum of everyday life moving gently through rooms that have held years of laughter and memories. It's strange how ordinary moments can suddenly feel sacred when you see them through the lens of love. Family is a word we grow up hearing every day. It becomes so familiar that we stop asking what it really means. We assume it's permanent, unchanging, always there, like the sky, like gravity, like the air we breathe. But one day you look around and realize that family isn't just a word. It's a living, breathing story that keeps writing itself with every person who steps into it. And sometimes there's a space in that story, a quiet space, not empty, not broken, just waiting. I used to think love was a private thing, something that lived between two people, something whispered, protected, kept safe from the world. But love doesn't stay small. It grows, it stretches, it reaches outward in ways you never expect. It starts to include more than just two hearts. It starts to imagine a future that has more chairs at the table, more voices in the living room, more footsteps in the hallway. You don't notice it happening at first. It sneaks up on you in ordinary moments. When someone laughs and you think, I wish you could hear this. When a meal tastes better than usual and you think, I wish you were sitting here. When the day ends and you feel grateful, but not complete. Because love, real love, doesn't stop at the edge of two people. It keeps going. It keeps expanding until it starts building a home. A home is a strange thing. It isn't made of walls or doors or furniture. It's made of moments, of shared glances, of stories told too many times, of inside jokes that don't make sense to anyone else. A home is where people become part of your everyday life without even trying, where their presence stops feeling new and starts feeling necessary. And somewhere along the way, you realize something quietly life-changing. A home can be ready for someone before they even arrive. My family doesn't know your favorite meal yet. They don't know the way you laugh when something surprises you. They don't know what stories shaped you or what dreams keep you awake at night. They don't know the music that makes you feel alive or the memories that make you nostalgic. But somehow there's already a place for you. It's invisible, but it's real. Like the space between heartbeats, like the pause between breaths, like the quiet certainty that some people are meant to belong together long before they meet. I think about evenings the most. Evenings have a way of revealing truth. The day ends, the noise fades, and what remains is what matters. Conversations get slower, smiles get softer, gratitude feels stronger. And in those quiet hours, you start imagining what life could look like if love had more room to grow. I imagine conversations that haven't happened yet. Laughter that hasn't echoed through the walls yet. Moments so ordinary they'll feel invisible when they happen, but unforgettable when we look back on them years later. Because the truth about family is simple and profound at the same time. It isn't fixed. It evolves. It welcomes. It expands. There's a seat at the table that hasn't been claimed yet. Not because it's empty, but because it's waiting. Waiting is a strange kind of hope. It's patient, gentle, quiet. It doesn't demand or rush or pressure. It simply believes that the right moment will arrive when it's meant to. And that belief changes the way you see the future. The future stops being a distant, abstract thing. It becomes a series of small, beautiful possibilities. Morning coffee shared in comfortable silence. Late night conversations that drift into laughter. Simple days that feel extraordinary because of who you spend them with. I think about how families don't just share space, they share time. and time is the most precious thing we have. Every minute spent together becomes part of a shared history, a story that grows richer with every passing year. There's something incredibly humbling about realizing that your life isn't just yours anymore, that your happiness is connected to the happiness of others, that your future includes faces and voices and hearts that will shape your days in ways you can't predict. It's beautiful and terrifying and overwhelming in the best possible way, because when you start imagining someone as part of your family, you're not just thinking about today, you're thinking about years, about seasons, about birthdays and holidays and quiet Sundays, about ordinary days that slowly turn into memories you'll carry forever. You start picturing moments that don't exist yet but feel real enough to touch. A shared glance across a outed room, a familiar voice calling your name from another part of the house, a sense of belonging so natural you forget what life felt like before it existed. And somewhere in the middle of all those thoughts, one simple truth rises above everything else. My family needs you. Not in a dramatic way, not in a desperate way, but in the quiet, steady way a melody needs harmony, in the way a story needs new chapters, in the way a home needs laughter that hasn't been heard yet, because families don't just grow through time, they grow through people, through connections, through love that keeps finding new ways to expand. There's something magical about imagining the day when introductions turn into familiarity, when new faces become familiar smiles, when polite conversations turn into comfortable silence, when nice to meet you slowly transforms into we can't imagine life without you. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens in small, gentle steps. One conversation, one shared meal, one moment at a time, and before you know it, what once felt new starts to feel natural. What once felt uncertain starts to feel inevitable. I think about how every family has a rhythm, a unique heartbeat made of shared habits and traditions, and how every new person who joins it doesn't disrupt the rhythm, they enrich it. They add new notes, new melodies, new harmonies. Suddenly the rhythm becomes fuller, warmer, more alive, because love doesn't divide space, it multiplies it. The more people you love, the bigger your world becomes. The more hearts you welcome, the brighter your days feel, the more laughter you share, the richer your memories grow, and slowly, quietly, beautifully life becomes. Yes, something bigger than you ever imagined. It becomes a shared journey, a shared home, a shared story still being written. And every time I think about that story, every time I imagine the chapters still waiting to be lived, every time I picture the future unfolding in ways we can't yet see, I feel this quiet certainty growing stronger and stronger. A certainty that doesn't need grand speeches or dramatic declarations, just a simple truth spoken softly from the deepest place in the heart. My family needs you, not because something is missing, but because something beautiful is ready to grow, because love has room to expand, because the story isn't finished yet, because the future is waiting to be shared, because somewhere in the rhythm of everyday life, in the quiet spaces between ordinary moments, in the gentle hope that lives inside tomorrow, there is a place that already feels closer to you than you realize. A place that has been slowly preparing for your laughter, your presence, your warmth, your voice blending into conversations that haven't happened yet, your footsteps echoing through hallways that have never heard them, your smile becoming part of memories that are still waiting to exist, your name spoken in rooms that are ready to welcome it, your story weaving into ours in ways we cannot yet predict, in ways that feel both unfamiliar and strangely inevitable, in ways that make the future feel less like a distant horizon and more like a door quietly opening, slowly, gently, patiently, inviting us to step forward together into something we can almost see, almost feel, almost touch, something that feels like the beginning of a chapter we've been unknowingly waiting to start, something that feels like a promise still forming, still unfolding, still becoming, still reaching toward a moment that hasn't arrived yet but feels closer with every heartbeat, every breath, every quiet second that carries us forward into the possibility of a life where love grows wider and warmer and deeper, until one day we look around and realize that what once felt like a dream has quietly become our everyday reality. And in that realization, in that soft and overwhelming understanding, in that gentle awareness that life has changed in the most beautiful way possible, we find ourselves standing at the edge of a future that feels both brand new and somehow familiar, ready to take the next step, ready to keep moving, ready to keep believing, ready to keep building something together that feels bigger than words and stronger than doubt and softer than fear and brighter than uncertainty. something that continues to grow and expand and breathe and live with every passing day, with every shared moment, with every quiet promise that forms between us, with every small step that brings us closer to the life we are slowly, patiently, inevitably creating, a life that keeps unfolding in front of us like a sunrise that never rushes but never stops, a sunrise that fills the horizon with warmth and possibility and hope, stretching further and further until it touches every part of the sky, until it touches every part of us, until it feels impossible to imagine the world any other way, until it feels impossible to imagine the future without you standing right there beside us, becoming part of everything we are still learning how to dream about, still learning how to belie, even, still learning how to reach toward, still learning how to hold on to, as the days continue to move forward and the story continues to write itself, line by line, moment by moment, heartbeat by heartbeat, step by step, quietly, gently, endlessly moving toward a tomorrow that feels closer now than it ever has before. A tomorrow that feels like it's waiting just beyond the next breath, just beyond the next moment, just beyond the next step we take together, into the unknown that no longer feels uncertain, but instead feels like home, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be lived, waiting to be filled with laughter and warmth and shared mornings and shared evenings, and shared dreams and shared memories that don't exist yet, but already feel like they belong to us, already feel like they are part of the story we are slowly stepping into, already feel like they are part of the life that keeps growing around us, inside us, between us, guiding us forward into the endless unfolding of everything that still waits ahead of us, in the quiet, patient, beautiful future that keeps calling us forward, step by step, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat, toward the life we are only just beginning to imagine, only just beginning to understand, only just beginning to see forming in the distance, shimmering softly like a promise that has been waiting for the right moment to reveal itself, a promise that continues to draw us closer and closer and closer until we can almost reach out and touch it, until we can almost feel its warmth, until we can almost step into the life that waits just beyond this moment, just beyond this breath, just beyond this quiet realization that everything is a boo to change in the most beautiful way, and we are standing right at the edge of it, ready to step forward into the unknown that no longer feels unknown, but instead feels like the beginning of everything we have been moving toward without even realizing it, the beginning of the next chapter that is already unfolding, already breathing, already waiting for us to continue moving forward into the story that has no ending yet, because it is still becoming, still growing, still unfolding into the endless horizon of what comes next. And what comes next is still just beyond reach, still just beyond words, still just beyond the moment where we pause and realize that the future we once imagined is now standing right in front of us, quietly waiting for us to take the next step and continue moving forward into the life that is still opening, still expanding, still waiting for us to keep walking into it without hesitation, without fear, without turning back, without stopping, without ever truly reaching the end, because the story keeps moving, keeps growing, keeps unfolding into the next breath, and the next moment, and the next step, and the next chapter that is already beginning to form just beyond this moment where we are still standing, still breathing, still feeling the quiet pull of everything that is waiting ahead, and just beginning to reveal itself as we keep moving forward into the endless unfolding of the life that is still waiting for us to continue. There is something quiet about a home before a new person walks into it. Not empty, not lonely, just quietly waiting like a room with sunlight pouring in before anyone notices how warm it feels. It's strange how we grow up believing homes are built with bricks and doors and roofs, only to realize much later that the real structure of a home is made of people, voices echoing down hallways, footsteps crossing floors at different hours, conversations drifting from one room to another, laughter rising suddenly and disappearing just as quickly. The small sounds that prove life is happening here. And then, one day, you begin to notice a silence you never noticed before. Not the kind of silence that hurts, the kind that anticipates, the kind that feels like a pause before music begins. I started to see it in ordinary moments. A chair that gets pulled out but not used. A story that ends with, you know what I mean, because the person it's meant for hasn't heard it yet. A smile shared across a table that somehow feels like it's meant to be shared with someone else too. The realization doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't demand attention. It drifts in slowly, gently, almost shyly, until one day it sits beside you and refuses to leave. Homes grow the same way hearts do, quietly, gradually. expanding in ways you don't fully understand until you look back and see how much space has been created. And the truth is, there's space here, not space left behind. Space waiting ahead. It's hard to explain how a place can be ready for someone it has never met, how conversations can feel unfinished before they've begun, how laughter can feel like it's echoing in advance of the moment it happens. But the feeling is real. You start noticing how every family has its rhythm, the way mornings unfold, the way evenings slow down, the way weekends stretch and contract in familiar patterns. Every home has its own heartbeat, its own tempo, its own quiet choreography of everyday life. And then you realize something beautiful. Rhythms can change. Heartbeats can grow stronger. Choreographies can welcome new steps. A home isn't complete because it stays the same. It becomes complete because it learns how to change. There's something deeply human about wanting to share ordinary moments. Not the big, dramatic milestones, not the grand celebrations or unforgettable events, just the simple, quiet pieces of life that happen in between everything else, the kind of moments that dawn and feel important when they happen but become priceless when you remember them years later. Morning tea, late-night conversations, shared glances across crowded rooms, comfortable silence that feels warmer than words. These moments don't demand attention, they don't try to impress, they simply exist. And because they exist, they become the foundation of everything. A home is built on those moments, and right now those moments are quietly waiting to include someone new. I imagine introductions turning into familiarity, names turning into nicknames, polite smiles turning into genuine laughter, the slow transformation of someone new into someone essential. It doesn't happen overnight. It never does. It happens in layers. Conversations that grow longer, silences that grow more comfortable, smiles that grow easier, until one day you realize the word new no longer fits. Belonging is one of the most powerful feelings a person can experience. It's invisible but unmistakable. You feel it in the way your shoulders relax, in the way your laughter becomes effortless, in the way time seems to move differently when you're surrounded by people who feel like home. And sometimes belonging begins long before the person even arrives. There's a place at the table that hasn't been claimed yet, not physically, emotionally, spiritually, quietly. The space exists in conversations that end with, one day, in plans that include an extra voice, in hopes that stretch a little further into the future. I think about how families grow not through necessity but through love, through the desire to expand the circle, to widen the warmth, to share the rhythm of everyday life with someone who will understand it in their own unique way. Because every new person doesn't just join a family, they transform it. They bring new stories, new memories, new traditions waiting to be created. The home becomes bigger without changing its walls. The future becomes brighter without changing the present. And suddenly the idea of tomorrow feels different. It feels shared. There is something profoundly comforting about imagining a future filled with shared mornings and shared nights, shared responsibilities and shared joys, shared struggles and shared victories. Because life was never meant to be carried alone, the weight becomes lighter when more hands hold it. The joy becomes greater when more hearts feel it. And slowly, quietly, the idea of mine begins to turn into ours. I imagine laughter echoing in rooms that have never heard it before. Conversations unfolding in corners that have always felt warm but not yet complete. Small moments becoming big memories simply because they were shared. Because sharing is what turns time into history. I think about the way names become part of everyday language. The way someone's presence becomes so natural you forget there was ever a time it didn't exist. The transformation is gradual, invisible, beautiful. Until one day the idea of life without that person feels impossible to imagine. And that's when you realize the home wasn't waiting for someone to fill a gap. It was waiting for someone to grow with. Growth is a quiet miracle. You don't notice it day by day. Only when you look back and see how far you've come. Homes grow the same way. Families grow the same way. Love grows the same way. And somewhere in that quiet growth, the future begins to take shape, a future filled with ordinary days that feel extraordinary because of who you share them with, because the greatest moments in life aren't the loudest ones. They were the quiet ones, the ones that happen when no one is trying to impress anyone, when everyone is simply being themselves, when the atmosphere feels warm and familiar and safe. That's what a home offers. Safety, warmth, belonging, and right now, all of those things are gently, patiently, quietly waiting to be shared. I imagine the first time laughter blends into the rhythm of the house, The first time silence feels comfortable instead of formal. The first time the word family feels natural instead of new. These moments don't arrive with announcements, they arrive softly, like sunlight slipping through curtains in the morning. And before you realize it, everything feels different. Not dramatically different, comfortably different, like a melody that sounds fuller because a new instrument joined the orchestra. Life becomes richer, warmer, more vibrant. Because love multiplies everything it touches, time feels more valuable.